Hi everybody, it's Mari here for our Sawyer Free Library cooking video, our weekly cooking video, and it's my first time posting on YouTube. Woo woo! And today we're going to be making banana oat flax walnut muffins. I know, banana oat flax walnut muffins. They're really good. They're gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for about 15 years, so gluten-free and refined sugar-free, and you can also make them dairy-free. I'll tell you about that. So they're really yummy, great with a cup of tea, great for breakfast. So here are our ingredients. 2 large mashed bananas, very ripe, very ripe. 2 room temperature eggs. You want them room temperature, much better to bake with. And let me just insert here, baking is pretty much an exact science. It's just the way it is, just the way the cookie crumbles. But I'm a little bit more loosey-goosey with my baking, just because I've been baking for a long time. I've been baking professionally off and on since college. So I tend to be a little more loose with my ingredients and amounts, but I'm gonna try and be a little more precise today for you. We'll see how that goes. So again, ingredients: 2 ripe, very ripe mashed bananas, 2 room temperature eggs, about 6 to 8 tablespoons, depending on what you like, of oil. It can be butter or coconut oil or a mixture. I use a mixture of the two. I do 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of, I like this avocado coconut oil. So 3 tablespoons butter, 3 tablespoons of that, 6 tablespoons total. Not a lot of oil, not a ton. And about 3/4 of a cup of sweetener. A little less than that. I tend to go a little less sweet just because the bananas are really sweet. So we're gonna do a 1/4 cup approximately of maple syrup, a little under 1/4 cup of date sugar, and a little under 1/4 cup of coconut sugar. And you can get the date and coconut sugars at your local health food store or online. So, and I'm gonna go over these ingredients again. 1 tablespoon of vanilla, teaspoon, oh, not tablespoon. Nix the tablespoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Oh my God, that would be, woo, you would not want that. Trust me, the alcohol, no. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're also gonna get some flax meal. You can buy that just about anywhere now, powdered flax meal. And some oats. Use any kind you like except for steel cut. And that's 1/3 of a cup of oats. And toasted walnuts. I like to chop and toast mine. And then your dry ingredients. I've mixed those up together, and I use a mixture of different gluten-free flours. I just use what I have on hand. Today I used I used almond meal, Teff flour, T-E-F-F, Bob's Red Mill all-purpose gluten-free baking flours. It's a mix, and a little bit of buckwheat flour, which I love. I love baking with buckwheat. It gives it a nutty flavor. It's so good. So, and then I mix all those together. It's about 1 1/4 cup of the flours total, and I just kind of wing it. If you wanted to not wing it, I would do 1 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. Whatever flour you like. 1 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. You can blend them or just use one. Bob's Red Mill has a great one. Actually, King Arthur flour also has a great one. So that's your flours. Mix those together. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Some people put in 1/4. I like a little bit more. Brings out the flavor a little bit more. And I also use xanthan gum. Even if the product, your gluten-free flour, has xanthan gum in it, I still use a little bit more xanthan gum to give it a little more of a rise. That's your rising and binding agent, is the xanthan gum. Helps bind. Gluten-free flour doesn't have the gluten, doesn't have that chewy, yummy gluten. So xanthan gum helps replace that. So I use 1/2 teaspoon of that also, and I mix that all together in with the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna say the ingredients one more time. We've got 2 mashed ripe, very ripe bananas, 2 room temperature eggs, 1/3 of a cup of oats, about 2 tablespoons of flax meal, about 1/4 cup of maple syrup, less than 1/4 cup date sugar, less than 1/4 cup coconut sugar, 6 tablespoons of oil, could either be butter, coconut oil, avo coco. You can mix it up. 6 tablespoons of your oil melted. And those are our ingredients. And so, how we do it. We melt the butter and the oil, and then we add the sugars, and we mix until light and fluffy. I add my vanilla there, teaspoon of vanilla, not a tablespoon, and I add that there and just mix it up. Then I add the 2 eggs, beat well each egg until they're well incorporated, and then I add the mashed banana, mix that until well incorporated. You can have a heavier hand in the beginning, and then you want to put your flour in. This you do not want to overmix because muffins, you want that muffiny texture, and if you overbeat, it's going to get really, really tough. So mix your flours in until just incorporated. You don't have to worry or anything, mix them, but just don't overmix them. And then you want to add your oats, your flax meal. Oh, and I forgot the 1/4 cup of about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of your toasted walnuts. I just pan toast these on top of the stove. So again, you start with your oil, melt that. If it's butter, add your sugars, add your sweeteners, mix that till fluffy. Add your 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 eggs, well incorporated. Add your banana, then well incorporated, and then add your flour. Don't overmix that. When that's mixed together, put in your oats, your flax, and your walnuts. Mix, put them in a well-greased pan. And these are the large muffin pans. And it makes 6 really large muffins. And I well-grease these puppies. And I bake them in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. I check them. Don't want to overbake these either, so check between 20 and 25 minutes depending on your stove, and you will have some really yummy, really good for you, especially if you lessen the sugar and don't use regular sugar, some really yummy muffins. Enjoy! I hope you have a good time making them, and I'd love to hear about it in our comments on our YouTube page, Sawyer Free Library. Oh, and join us for our Cook-a-Book book club on May 1st. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We talk about all things food, and we're going to be making pantry cleaners. So anything that you have that's a pantry staple, make something from that. Nothing fancy, and it's just going to be a surprise. We're going to have a lot of fun, and that's going to be on May 1st. You can register at the Sawyer Free Library website, sawyerfreelibrary.org. Thanks, and I hope everybody's doing well as we stiver through, my dad used to say. So hang in there, everybody. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Take care.